The Vaadwuar have created a serum that can prevent a deceased individual from being converted into a Kobali. However, they are planning it for mass dispersal and continuing to attack the Delta Alliance and the Kobali. Whatever issues I have with the Vaadwuar or the Kobali's actions, the aggression needs to be taken down a notch so that leveler heads can prevail, and to begin with, we need to halt the Vaadwar's plans to weaponise their anti-Kobali chemical by obtaining a sample of that compound. The Kobali battlefield is full of missions that spawn into the landscape with objectives to complete, such as this Vaadwuar minefield that is periodically set to the east of the forests. We can attempt to disarm them by edging ever closer to the mine's proximity zone and reducing the detonation range until we're close enough to disarm it. This can be a little bit tricky to do if you're under fire, but not too difficult if you just don't push your luck. Further to the north, the landscape gives way to rocky valleys and fells, with ravines between the stone making the only paths through the land. Occupying and defending these passes is another mission that routinely spawns, where we have to push through checkpoints to snare them from Vaadwuar control. The zone known as the Upper Mountains to the north of the ravines is our destination, where we need to complete the mission titled Chemical Strike to retrieve our sample. This means pushing through the Vaadwuar held outposts to find one that has a suitable candidate for our use. We clear out the enemy forces in order to safely access a data terminal to search for what we need, missing a group of Vaadwuar at the other entrance in the process, and once they're dealt with, Captain Harry Kim calls in.
The base is clear. We can start the data download now.
The next thing we need to do is hold this position so that a full sample of the serum can be duplicated, and to do this we're going to need reinforcements, so we turn the Vaadwuar tech against them. These transporter pods are a mixture of a drop pod and transporter enhancer, allowing for Vaadwuar to establish transporters through most planetary shielding and dampening fields to these pads, which were dropped from orbit. We temporarily tie them into the Kobali's transporter network to beam in some assistance. However, it won't be long before the Vaadwuar reassert their control of their own tech. Sure enough, enemy reinforcements begin to charge in to retake their compound. Unable to beam into the pods, they appear on the outskirts of the outpost. With the Kobali soldiers helping, the battle is in our favour, with us repelling the enemy strikes, although several of the Kobali are injured. After we take out a rather tenacious group of tech soldiers who all have personal shielding, the Vaadwuar resorts to more extreme measures to take back their outpost. An explosion is followed by a green fog that envelops our forces, and the Kobali with us have time to identify this chemical as a different one than our target before they begin to choke. We watch helplessly as our allies fall, gasping for air, although we remain unaffected. It's just us now in this murk, and the Hanchon calls in to alert us to more Vaadwuar soldiers. We repel the final wave of soldiers, 2 small squads of Vaadwuar. If we still had our support, then the Vaadwuar would have never stood a chance. As it is now, it was a close call. With the chemical sample duplicated in digital format from the Vaadwar's own facility, we beam the data to the Armiger in orbit. I hope this was worth it. It takes time, but we make our way back to the hidden camp in enemy territory to communicate with the Armiger from a safer location. Science Officer Temet answers our hails, and she's had time to look over the full schematics of the virus. It reveals that the gas we inhaled only works against Kobali DNA. Within seconds, it reverses the changes wrought to a subject from the Kobali's rebirth process, the initial effect being organ failure, as the Kobali, born from the deceased, return to that state. And to think I was worried that the Vaadwuar was simply trying to force their anti-Kobali serum on everyone. This is far more horrific. She also notes that it's a similar process to the one developed by the Voyager EMH when first contact with the Kobali was made through former Ensign Lindsay Ballard, when she requested a treatment to restore her human appearance. It appears that the Vaadwuar intend to deploy both chemicals planet-wide to deal with all the Kobali and prevent any more from being created. This leaves us with no choice. Genocide is never an acceptable option. Temet thinks now we have the virus in detail, and immunisation can be created. We give the Armiger the clear to work with the USS Rhode Island and Captain Dralia's vessel to accelerate the process. Meanwhile, we need to talk to the Kobali General Q'nel. as he needs to know. In some ways I should be thankful to Gaul. His extreme actions have put any doubts I had about the Kobali to rest. Sure, I can understand the Vaadwaur's plight, but not this. At least the Kobali may be open to reason. Beam us straight to the city. We report the situation to the General, who takes the news rather, well?
The Vaadwuar have a chemical that can instantly kill us? I don't even know how to respond anymore. I can only hope you all can come up with an immunization to it soon. I will rally our soldiers. We will need to make an all-out attack on their main base and stop the Vaadwuar before they can complete their horrible work. Speak with me again soon. Hopefully, we will be ready to begin the assault then.
We give them time to form a plan of attack. He didn't even sound surprised when we told him, just weary of the Vaadwaur's efforts.
Our time to strike is now, before the Vaadwuar can deploy their main chemical payload. We would like you to be a part of the assault squad. Your first step will be to take and secure the Vaadwuar forward base in the mountains. Capture the base, and then meet with our squad in one of our hidden outposts in the mountains. They'll brief you on the next step. Move fast. We do not know when the Vaadwuar will begin releasing their chemical payload.
Beaming to the hidden base, we press on to begin the assault on the Vaadwaur's main compound. We need to buy time and occupy them, preventing them from deploying their chemical weapon. From the looks of it, the formulas are ready, and they're just waiting to amount enough to launch. Q'nel is right. We can't tell how far along in production the enemy is, so the best we can do is hit them now, and hit them hard. Looks like we're late to the party. I can already hear the weapons fire, and we passed only light resistance on the way here. As this mission, coded at the gates, is an open one, all players in the zone can join the fight. This assault is a multi-layered offensive. Much like the missions to secure checkpoints through the passes and ravines, we have to occupy and defend points until the Vaadwaur fall back. Then we advance to the next point and press our attack. Looks like we've support from the Delta Alliance, including KDF forces. The fight is a long one and literally an uphill battle as we fend off the counterattacks until a break in their defences let us move on up. Our allies here have managed to set up traps and defences that the enemy walk into as they try to drive us away. Suits me just fine. It seems that one of our comrades in arms here doesn't feel constrained against the deployment of orbital weapons. Then again, the KDF doesn't have a prime directive to follow, so I saw nothing. Well, that's one way to deal with the Vaadwaur, I guess. While we're here, let's scramble their comms. Any chance to throw the opponent into disarray will buy us more time to halt their weapons deployment. We've gained ground, taking out their comms, and now we have to hold it. The Vaadwaur are renewing their push against us, and we're going to have to repel their counterattack. The more secure we can make the pass, the more infantry can move on up to attack the compound's inner layers. We have little cover here, but someone has to man this point to prevent any Vaadwaur from contesting our progress. The successful advance maintained, our efforts forced the Vaadwaur to fall back once again, and the troops that have been sprinting by us all as we held the pass have managed to secure a cavern in the southern wall of the mountains. Now we have an anchor point planted firmly in this rock face where we can gather our strength for the next phase of the climb. After a quick catch of breath, Salador briefs us for the final phase of the assault. The Delta Alliance forces are to press on and dispose of the chemical weapons, while the Kobali forces hold the line from here and prevent any more Vaadwaur reinforcements from ascending the valley to outflank us. This is to be the turning point in the conflict on Kobali Prime. If not an end to the Vaadwaur's ambitions, it will at the very least halt the destruction of an entire species. This will be a declaration to Gaul that the Delta Alliance has fully allied with the Kobali, but that's not my problem. The Vaadwaur have pushed this matter too far. We press towards the centre of their camp, first passing through a defensive perimeter, while one assault team targets their transporter pads and another begins placing charges on the chemical vats.
We will not rest until our people are returned and the Kobali pay for their actions.
The fire's spreading. Overseer Mengin, the coordinator of this facility, himself takes to the field in a combat tank. The combined firepower of the Delta Alliance troops focuses in on him, and even his mechanical defences cannot withstand the sheer assault from the myriad of energies.
I will not rest until I see every Kobali dead. The Vaadwaur shall live on. I will make sure of it.
Sounds like you're not holding up that well, fella. Especially as one captain calls down another strike from their ship. And it also appears to be raining fish.
I will not forsake my people to the fate of these disgusting, awesome, my people. I am sorry.
Mengin falls as his ride bursts into flames. His last cry was for the recovery of his people, but he sees the Kobali as simply an infection to be wiped out. Long ago there may have been a diplomatic solution to this mess, but through the Kobali's failure to understand other cultures and the Vaadwaur's mindless dedication to war, the time passed, and this is the result. Here we stand beneath a Vaadwaur frigate, amid fire and the dead, lamenting their failures. At least we prevented a genocide. With the chemical burned out and the research destroyed, the Kobali live on. Let's call in our successes to Captain Kim and the General. Captain, I just received word from the Armiger that the immunisation treatment was a success. The Kobali are being treated now, and the Vaadwaur's gas weapon is now harmless.
But the Vaadwaur will return at any moment. I suggest we pull back to the city.
Agreed. We need to deal with the Kobali using the Vaadwuar for rebirth.
Captain Kim, that is not our concern. The Prime Directive is clear on this.
The Vaadwuar were trying to exterminate the Kobali, but the Kobali are trying to eliminate the Vaadwuar by absorbing their culture. I understand the Prime Directive, but we're already here. We're already involved, and the results of the Kobali's actions are no different than the Vaadwaur's.
You have a point, Captain Kim, but I believe this would be better discussed in a more secure location.
Agreed. We'll give you an escort to the city.
Kim is completely right on two things. Firstly, this tenuous notion of arguing the Prime Directive needs to be disregarded here. We're already way too involved. And secondly, the Kobali may not have started this war, nor does any species deserve to be wiped out, but they escalated the situation, even if they meant no offence. Let's hope now that the immediate threat has passed, we can reach a compromise for the sake of all parties.
We can't thank you enough for all your help. The war will continue, but now we have the upper hand. We're trained, and we're prepared to finish the fight. We have only one more topic to discuss. What should we do with the stasis pods we currently hold? Thank you for all your help. I believe it is time we discuss what to do with the remaining Vaadwaur stasis pods. Our lead scientist wishes to speak with you within the temple about the problem. I believe Captain Kim wishes to be present as well. I suggest talking to him first.
About time. Huh. We can see the Vaadwaur's frigate from here. The smoke seems to have stopped. Well, we can't force the Kobali into taking any action they don't want to do without jeopardising this alliance we've forged, so let's just see what we're working with. Captain Kim?
The Kobali have invited us to their temple to discuss the status of the Vaadwaur stasis pods. Are you ready to go?
As I'll ever be. As we pass down the concealed corridors of this repurposed Vaadwaur hibernation shelter, the Kobali salute, wave and cheer for us. I guess to them we're just the heroic alliance that stepped in to protect them from the evil Vaadwaur. And yes, I guess that is the case, but they don't see how conflicted this situation became over time and the second guessing that Hale went through. At the end of the day, we saved lives, and that is a victory. The Vaadwaur needed to be stopped, and we did. So that'll have to be enough. Hindsight is 20/20, they say, and the more I reflect on it, the more inevitable this all seemed. Gaul is still out there, however, so our job's not done, but for now, we've got other issues to discuss.
Thank you for meeting us here. We have spoken with delegates from the Alliance and have come to an agreement about the Vaadwaur. We will cease reviving Vaadwaur from stasis pods that are failing, and ensure the upkeep on said pods.
We can agree that their decision is the correct one, or voice our concerns for their future as a species. If we agree, she has this to say.
Yes, I have come to see that now. We will release the remaining Vaadwaur from their pods once their current forces have shown us that we can come to a peaceful solution. In the meantime, we shall continue to use this area as a holding area for non-Vaadwaur who will become Kobali.
And if we ask what about the future of her people, and that we don't believe the decision is wise, she says this.
Perhaps, but the future of our people cannot come from the expense of the Vaadwaur. We will release the remaining Vaadwaur from their pods once their current forces have shown us that we can come to a peaceful solution. In the meantime, we shall continue to use this area as a holding area for non-Vaadwaur who will become Kobali.
So you plan to continue using this facility to store your bodies?
Yes, I know it may seem grim to you, but for us, it is sacred. This shall be a place where those who have lost their lives await to have a new life given to them. In time, we will fill this hall again with those who can earn another chance at life.
And where are these bodies coming from? The Vaadwaur dead out there have immunized themselves, remember?
We are sending scouting ships to several planets that the Vaadwaur have attacked. With the permission of their people, we will take the victims of the Vaadwaur and give them a second chance at life. Our hope is for this to lead to new alliances with the other species of the Delta Quadrant.
Asking permission from the populace first. Good. Good. The Kobali seem to have learned their lesson. This is how it always should have been, but hindsight again. So the Kobali are going to care for these Vaadwaur civilians and release them when the war is over. I can't work out if that's right or not, but it is unfortunately practical. That's something for the Vaadwaur and Kobali to sort out, however. As for the way they're obtaining bodies going forwards, well, I can back that wholeheartedly, and the fact that the Kobali made this decision themselves does give me hope that they can learn from their mistakes and are willing to tweak their culture to accommodate the rights of others. This ultimately is what marks them as different from the Vaadwaur, who are still here 700 years after their empire fell, waging continuous war against everyone who won't acquiesce to their will. So, I think we did the right thing, but we still have a long way to go. Captain Kim, it's been a thrill.
Thank you again for everything you've done here. I'm relieved that we've cleared this up and can move forward with the Kobali. Let's head back to the city.
Agreed. So, you ever had Kobali food, Kim? What's it taste like? I hear it's unpalatable for us humans, but strangely that makes me want to try it even more.
Don't worry, Harry. I'll take good care of you.